They said it could never be done. I was described as a lunatic in the green skin community, but here it is. A 2,000 point goblin army with 0 shooting attacks. That's right, not even a single solitary wizard, not a single solitary bow, not a single solitary war trombone in sight. No shooting attacks whatsoever, and in fact, ignore the bows on some of the flea bags because they've run out of arrows and they're just going to be hitting the enemy with the bow itself. And today they will be taking on the mighty alliance of elves and the forces of nature in a game using the Kings of War battlefield cards, which have thrown up some interesting situations already. Possibly the most notable card that's come up so far is the battlefield condition, which has inflicted unreplenished casualties onto the elves and nature, so their nerve for units with a value of 13 or more is going to be reduced by 1. So that could affect them quite significantly. Some objectives were placed, some of which will be used for the primary objectives and some perhaps for the secondary, which we won't find out until turn 4. But here is the centre point of the table, so there is an objective there is an objective here, and in the woods over here. You can just see it down there. There are also 2 base objectives at the back of the battlefield. There is one here on the goblin side, and there is one over here behind these archers on the elf and nature side, so potentially both sides could be gunning for those as well. We shall see. Now let's look at the primary objectives before we go through the lists. The goblin primary objective, 1 victory point up to a maximum of 5 for each point of unit strength in the opposition half at the end of the game. So considering this army has no shooting in it whatsoever, you couldn't ask for a better objective. Something that encourages you to walk forwards towards the enemy. The elves and nature primary objective is pretty much loot. 3 units are given loot tokens, and their objective is to take them into the opposition's half, or failing that, just to hold on to them until the end. We won't find out what the secondary objectives are until the start of turn 4, and we'll find out which elf and nature units were given those loot tokens as we go through the list right now. So here we are, starting with the forces of the elves and nature. What do we have over here?
So this is a slight mishmash of models pulled together from a few of my different armies to put this together. This is on the right hand side, on the right flank, is a beast of nature with lightning bolt. He doesn't fly, so we can ignore the wings. He's too small, you see it's quite a small model. And then moving across the terrain there, we have a horde of earth elementals. And they have one of the loot tokens from the objective. Next to them, we have a regiment of forest shamblers. And just hiding behind them, we have a druid. And the druid has got lightning bolt, a little bit of heal and surge, which might be helpful for these 2 units. And then at the back, this old treeman model. This is another beast of nature, again with lightning bolt. And then moving into the centre, hiding behind this wall, we've got a unit of heart piercers. So they're usually only short range bows, but they've got the jar of the 4 winds to give that bit extra reach. And then next to them, another horde of earth elementals, and again they've got another of the loot tokens. And then moving down to where this hill is, this is the elf allies. So we've got a horde of archers, and again they've got a loot token in there, and they've got a wizard to back them up a little bit with some lightning bolts. And then that's it for the allies. And then moving down to the left flank, we've got a regiment of Talon Riders with bows. Hiding behind them, a bit slightly out of scale considering this model is quite small, but again it's another beast of nature with lightning bolt. And then moving down on the left flank, we've got a unit of Braced Riders.
Disguised as orcs.
Disguised as orcs, yes, hence the confusion. With the Brew of Haste.
Another interesting point about this goblin army is that there are no artefacts, other than one that was thrown up in the battlefield strategy cards deck. So we'll come to that in a minute, but we have a regiment of rabble. We have Fleabag Rider Regiment. We have a Moorbeast Regiment. We have the only unit in the army that can't score with no unit strength. We have a Flaggit. We have 2 giants on the hill. Next to them we have Harambe the Troll Bruiser. A horde of trolls, a horde of rabble, with a mincer providing support. We have another horde of trolls. This one has the Mace of Crushing, via the battlefield cards. Down here we have another horde of trolls, another bruiser, another regiment of more beasts, and another regiment of fleabag riders. So very, very simple. Not a lot of artifacts, just that one, but a whole lot of unit strength and a whole lot of fighting ability. If you're particularly eagle-eyed, you may notice that this goblin army is positioned slightly further forward than it ordinarily would. That is because of this card. Bum bum bum, Stolen March. So the goblins have been able to deploy up to 3 inches closer to the centre line than normally allowed in this scenario. So that is ideal for a combat-heavy army like this. The Forest Chamblers have used their vanguard move to move up here into the forest, staying out of charge range of everything though. And now it's time for the choice of first turn roll-off. Here we go. The goblins win. The end of goblin turn 1, and you can see the advance here as we head down the line. The giants have not been afraid to get themselves into the face of the opposition, moving clearly to within range of the Forest Chamblers. They're not at all concerned by that. And this big blob here is the part that's moved the furthest forward due to the lack of hindering terrain. Down here, slightly less movement. These trolls have left themselves in charge range of the flyers there. And of course, these trolls are not scared of them or the cavalry. They've left themselves just in range. But the fleabags have put themselves just outside of range of both of those units. So they won't be getting charged in this turn. And that's going to be it. There's no goblin shooting. So, elves and nature will have a chance to cut down this terrifying advance. End of movement for the elves and the forces of nature. And you can see there's been quite a lot of activity. So the elven cavalry have decided to charge into the troll bruiser. Despite all his backup, they're not afraid. They have their own backup here, which is positioning itself around, presumably to start firing off shots and lightning bolts at everything. Over in the middle there hasn't been an advance at all. And down here the Forest Chambler has gone for the giant in the centre. And the elementals have moved up slightly into the woods. Interesting. So the goblins are going to have the opportunity to do some killing next turn regardless. But the elves and the force of nature can reduce the impact of that. Were they able to kill anything in this turn? Time will tell. There's plenty of shooting to do and then the combat. So we've reached the end of the shooting phase and we're going to start at this end here with these trolls. The combined attack of this unit of archers that had a strategy card played on them which gave them vicious. So with vicious and elite, they didn't actually help out that much though. I think it was mainly this unit here that did most of the shooting damage. So these trolls are up to 6, and we're going to have their nerve test right now. They are inspired. They have a nerve of 14, 17, so looking for 8 to waver. And they are fine. A sneaky lightning bolt from this wizard cut through the goblin lines into the side of the mincer, so took the cover hindered shot and did 2 damage into the weak flank armour of the mincer. And the mincer's nerve is 9, 11, so we're looking for 7 to waver the mincer. Here we go. That would toast the mincer alive, and I don't think it's inspired. So the mincer is dead. The heart piercers decided to aim their heart-piercing bows at Harambe, the troll bruiser, doing 2 damage. So 10 to waver. Harambe is fine. And finally, this unit of fleabag riders took a sustained assault from lightning bolts from 2 beasts of nature and also this druid here, but they only suffered 3 damage. So we're looking for 9 to waver. And it's not quite enough. Into the combat phase, and the Forest Chamblers that came charging out of their forest abode have done 4 damage to the giant, 17, 19. So really just looking for a nice double 6 for a waver here. No. The Bree Striders have done 6 damage to the Troll Bruiser, so they are going to be looking for a 6 to waver or a 9 twice to kill. Oh, not quite. So with that, that is the end of the Elves and Nature turn 1. They did manage to kill the mincer, and they've done some damage to various troll units, and a giant over here. There is going to be some regen coming up though. And the goblins have got potential charge opportunities now, so we'll see exactly where they're going to direct their furious vengeance. End of Goblin turn 2 movement, and as you can see, the Bray Striders have been caught in this pincer movement between the trolls in the flank and the fleabags in the front. The Bruiser has just got out of the way a bit, heading over this way, and these trolls with the Mace of Crushing have gone into this arch unit. Not expecting to kill it in one go, but the charge was open, so why not take it? The Rabble Horde in the centre have positioned themselves so they can't be charged by anything next turn. That was their main concern. They're not particularly interested in getting into a fight with elementals or anything that flies, really. They didn't want to open up their flank. Over here, there's been a triple charge into these Shamblers. Trolls in the flank, Harambe the Bruiser and the Wounded Giant into the front. This giant made his way over in this direction and went into the front of these elementals, with the fleabags assisting in the flank. The Maw Beasts have just moved in for support, and this Goblin Rebel regiment are just chilling out at the back near to this base objective. And we're going to be moving into the combat phase now, because, again, there is no shooting, as crazy as that is. So, massed damage was laid into these Bray Striders. They're up to 18, so they're in double one town. The trolls in the flank really did the bulk of the damage there. So, here we go. I don't believe there's any inspiring within range, so that single opportunity for the dreaded double one. No, they are toast. The trolls into the archers inflicted 8 damage with the assist from the Mace of Crushing. So looking for a nice double 6 to waver these guys now. No. The Forest Shamblers with this combined brutally crushing attack, they are definitely in double onesville. 26 damage inflicted. That's not even to mention the brutal on the giant. So it's going to take a double 1, but there are 2 chances because there is this little bit of inspiring down here. So here we go. Not that time. And again. No, they are squished. So with the giant in the front and the fleabags in the side, 9 damage in total is inflicted, but with the brutal of the giant as well, that means that there's going to be a requirement of 7 to kill this unit of elementals. They are inspired though, so we're going to need to roll 7 on the nerve twice. Here we go. There's 1, exactly what was required, and let's do it again. A strategy card has been played. Sudden Faith, subtract 1 from a nerve test made by your opponent, which puts it down to 6, which would mean that nothing is achieved. However, another strategy card is played to counter it. Panic in the ranks, add 1, so that counteracts it, which means that it's still enough. So the second roll will take... No, it's another Sudden Faith. So that's going to take the 1 off again. Oh no, what's this? Lady Luck, you may re-roll 1 dice from the nerve test. So that means I need 2 or more on this dice then. And it's a 3, so that will be enough. So unless there are any other cards that are going to be thrown into this mess here.
No.
Okay, the second roll will take place then. We'll find out whether all that was wasted. Right, here we go again with the inspired roll. 7 to kill, and I don't think we have any cards left to mess with that.
No.
So here we go. Oh no. At least it got rid of all the cards, but the unit is not dead. Wow. So we've reached the conclusion of Goblin Turn 2. The Elemental's not dying has left the Fleabag slightly exposed. We'll see if they pay for that. And over here, there is support of course though. The centre is looking very Goblin friendly, but there is this big batch of badness over there. And down here, there's more pain about to be brought for both sides I think, as we move into the Elves and Nature Turn 2. End of the movement in the Elves/Nature Turn 2. You can see here that the archers have countercharged the trolls. The Beast of Nature has backed up a little bit away from these trolls so we can ping off some lightning bolts in a minute. The Talon Riders have decided they don't fancy this fight over here, so they're heading over in this direction. Potential for them to send off some bow attacks in this direction as well. And here the Elementals decided, well, the trolls are right in front of us, we might as well go for it, so they've gone in there. These Elementals, that were the subject of 1,000 cards being played last time, have countercharged the Giant, and the 2 Beasts of Nature have gone into the Fleabags, 1 in the flank, so you would think that they are going to be lightly toasted in a minute. And we're going to go into the shooting phase now, so there's going to be lightning bolts and bow shots aplenty. The these Fleabag Riders in the first part of the shooting phase have taken 1 damage as a result of a cheeky Beast of Nature lightning bolt. So there's going to be a nerve test required on them, and it's going to be 11 to waver. And that could have been dramatic with the spinning dice, but the first dice already ruined it. The only other unit to suffer any damage from the shooting phase is the Lady Giant, who is now up to 7 as a result of lightning bolts and bows and more bows from over there. So, 10 to waver the Giant. 11, that will kill the Giant, but there is an inspiring Flaggett standing right there, so here we go again. No. Could have done with actually rolling worse and just wavering it to avoid the reroll requirement. So for anyone paying attention to the battlefield cards, having a card that reduces the nerve test roll, you could actually use that on your own dice to get a waiver. Into the combat phase, and first of all, these Elven Archers rolled really well to hit the Trolls. They had an absolute bucket load, but then they failed to wound with every single one. So no nerve test required here. As we swing on round here, you can see that the Elementals have inflicted 6 damage onto these Trolls, so we're looking for 8 to waver. No. These Elementals, well, what a poor showing from them. So, looking for a double 6 to waver the Giant. No. And even if they had double 6 to waver him, it wouldn't have helped them that much, because he could still countercharge them. The Beasts of Nature have converged, and look at this. 15 damage now on the Fleabags. So we are in double 1 town, and there's no inspiring in sight. So here we go. Fleabags are dead. So the end of Elves and Nature turn 2, and a quick scan of the battlefield. This end looking very goblin friendly, although that's partially due to some of the units fleeing the scene because they don't like the look of it. Up here it looks like these Elven Archers are not long for this world. Down here we've got a very interesting fight between Trolls and Elementals brewing. And down here is looking a bit better for the Elves and the Nature. It's looking a little bit sparse for the Goblins over on this side. So we'll see how that goes. Heading into Goblin turn 3 now. End of movement for Goblin turn 3. And possibly giving away what the secondary objective might be. This Rebel Regiment have spent the whole game moving closer towards my base objective over here. So we'll see whether that is actually my objective at the start of turn 4, or whether it's just a red herring that I'm throwing out there to cause mind games and confusion to reign in the head of my opponent. Here, you can see that these Maw Beasts unfortunately failed their yellow-bellied rolls. They could not assist the Giant in this countercharge here against the Elementals, so he's on his own there. Down here, Harambe the Troll Bruiser is facing this direction now, because I think there's going to be support required very shortly. Over here, the Giant decided not to charge the Heart Piercers, and decided instead that this required a triple charge, including a flank charge that is hindered from the Rebel Horde. So Trolls and a Giant in the front, Rabble in the flank. Can they survive? Probably, but will they? That may be another question. Down here, double Troll Horde charge. They're having trouble staying on this hill, but I think you get the idea. So they're hopefully going to munch through that horde of archers there. And then, very sneaky manoeuvre here. This Troll Bruiser moved onto the difficult terrain. He's actually slightly further on it than that. I think he just fell off. So he's there, which meant that the Fleabags here were able to navigate round, just get the correct angle so they could charge through here and attack this Beast of Nature unhindered. So there we go. And these Maw Beasts were able to get past this wall as well, so they're not going to be hindered from now on, unless they elect to walk into a field later on, we shall see. So, plenty of combat coming up, and it's all looking very, very juicy. Multi-charges galore. The Fleabags are up first, and they've inflicted 6 damage onto the Beast of Nature, and we just remembered the battlefield condition will be reducing his nerve as well. So, we're looking at 8 to waver, 10 to kill, with no inspiring in sight. Here we go. And that is 8, so he's wavered. Waver. The 2 troll units here on the archers, they did 8 damage each, so they're on a double 1 town, which means, here we go, no inspiring nearby, and that means they are toast. Well, The Rabble Horde did absolutely nothing in this combat, but the Trolls and the Giant did conspire to put 6 on the Elementals, which, when you combine with the battlefield condition that reduces their nerve by 1 and the Giant's Brutal, means that a roll of 9 will annihilate them, and they are not inspired. So here we go. Got to do with a nice big juicy roll now. On these Ulti-Bash 4 dice that have served me well so far. No, not that time. This Giant chipped away a few more damage onto these Elementals, so they're now up to 10, which with the Brutal and the battlefield condition means that a roll of 5 will toast them, but I think these ones are inspired, aren't they?
Yes.
So 5 twice to destroy. Here we go. There's once. And can they be toasted? Yes, they can. Death to the Elementals. So to survey the scene, obviously these Trolls, the placement is a little bit scattered at the moment with the hill not cooperating, but these ones have pivoted to avoid the charge of the Talon Riders there. And in the middle it's looking very juicy. There's charges opened up for the Elves and the Nature here because of the failure to kill these Elementals, but this unit is dead. The Giant is on his own in the middle of the woods there, looking down on these beasts of nature. So we'll see what they've got up their sleeve. Still plenty of shooting options and charge possibilities for the Nature Elven Alliance. Elven Nature Alliance, turn 3 movement. The Elementals have decided to countercharge the Trolls here, and over in the woods we've got a double Beast of Nature charge into the Giant. Over here you can see that the Talon Riders have moved out the way of everything. They don't want to be charged, they've left themselves in nobody's charge arc at all, and out of range of anything that can see them. They decided that they were going to play it safe for this turn and not shoot anything, just to escape the potential charge of various units around here. So playing the long game with them, and we'll see if it pays off. So we've got a couple of combats here. Of course, the Beast of Nature over there couldn't do anything because it's wavered. So just these two. And as far as shooting goes, there's still quite a few options despite that unit moving. We've got Heart Piercers and some casters running around. So all the shooting rained down on this Giant here from the Heart Piercers and the 2 casters, which has put her up to 10 damage. So 7 will waver the Giant. Here we go. That's 10, which will kill, but there's Inspiring in range with the Flaget. And 4, so not enough. The Elementals with their charge on the Trolls have put them up to 9 damage, which means a roll of 5 will waver them. Here we go. And that's exactly what was required. The Trolls have become wavered. And I haven't taken any of my usual anti-waver items in this army list. The double Beast of Nature assault has put this Giant up to 6 damage, so we're looking for 11 to waver the Giant. No. So, at the end of that turn, nothing changed over there, because the only unit that was really a threat over there has run off in this direction, and no killing was achieved, but there was this possibly significant waver placed onto the Trolls. So we're going into Goblin turn 4. So, start of turn 4, the Goblin secondary objective has been revealed, and predictably, 2 VPs if I hold the base objective in my half. So that's obviously why this Rabble Regiment have been chilling out there for the entire game. Goblin turn 4 movement. So, the Rebel Regiment have just consolidated their position on top of that base objective, which we've now learned is going to be worth 2 victory points for me. There was going to be a double charge here between the Giant and the Moorbeasts into this Beast of Nature, but unfortunately they failed the Yellow Bellied test for the second time this game. So it's just a Giant into that one and Harambe the Bruiser into the other one. Over here the Giant and the Rebel Horde have gone back into these Elementals. The Trolls, of course, couldn't because they're wavered, but they did get 7 of their wounds back with regeneration, which is very nice. Down here, these Trolls are making a beeline for the enemy lines, so is the Bruiser and these Moorbeasts, because they don't think they're going to be needed here, because we've got Trolls and Fleabags who are hopefully going to finish off this Beast of Nature very shortly. And going straight into combat again. No shooting. So, first things first. The Troll Horde and the Fleabags have got this guy into double one town quite handily. It really only took the Trolls. So here we go. Toast. The elementals have been put up to 14 damage as a result of the giant, and the rabble actually did some damage this time. So despite the trolls not helping out, it's double one time. Here we go. No inspiring. Toasted elementals on the barbecue. Not that you'd get a very good barbecue going in this weather, I'm sure. Harambe the Bruiser has put 2 damage onto this Beast of Nature, so double 6 will waver. No, not quite. So the Giant has put some damage onto this one, up to 3, with the battlefield condition and the Giant's Brutal. Then we're looking at 10 to waver and 12 to kill. No. So both the Beasts of Nature survive, and that's the end of the combat. So it's not looking too good for the Elves and the Nature at the moment, but they do still have a few units left, and they're about to reveal their secondary objective as well, which could turn the tide. So, before we start turn 4, the Elf and Nature secondary objective has been revealed, so 2 victory points if you rout the most expensive remaining enemy unit. So there are a few options. There are 2 Giants that are wounded to choose from, or the Trolls. So that's going to be interesting. Which unit is going to be selected, though? As was probably expected, the heavily wounded Giant was tagged with this secondary objective, so 2 victory points if this unit can be killed, and everything fired at it. There were lightning bolts and arrows from all over the place, so up to 15 damage now, which means a roll of 4 will kill the Giant. Here we go. Just enough, but there is inspiring in range, so let's see it again. The Giant is dead. 2 victory points for the Elves/Nature Alliance. I don't think I mentioned because there was so little activity going on, but these 2 Beasts of Nature charged into the Giant and Harambe the Bruiser. Everything else just moved away to line up the shot against the deceased Giant, so we're going to do those combats right now. So Harambe the Bruiser is now up to 3 damage as a result of that, so 9 to waver. Here we go. No. The Giant has had another point of damage put on him as well. So, up to 7, which means 12 would destroy the Giant, so it's wavered. Unless there's any kind of brutal or any rules like that going on with the Beast of Nature.
No, not at all.
So the Giant is wavered, but again, with Giants, wavering them in combat, not the best idea. Goblin turn 5, the movement. You can see here these units are just consolidating in the corner, going for the primary objective of getting unit strength into the opponent's half, not too bothered about getting involved in the fight, because it's looking like a formality at this stage. Over here we've got a double charge on the Heart Piercers from the 2 troll units, and the rabble have gone into that lone wizard under there. Over here we've got Harambe back into this Beast of Nature, and a double charge with the Giant and the more beasts who finally passed their yellow belly check to join in with this fight. So that's going to be interesting. They are hindered just, though. There's a blade of grass that one of them just stepped over, and that's going to cause them great hindrance. The rabble have inflicted 7 damage onto this mage, so 5 to kill. And that is enough. The mage is dead. As you'd expect with this double troll charge, the Heart Piercers are on double 1 town. So here we go. I don't think there's any inspiring nearby. And there's 8, so they are also toast. Wow. Harambe the Bruiser does 1 extra damage to this Beast of Nature. 11 to waver. No. Slightly mediocre rolls from the Giant and the More Beasts. They didn't quite rip off as much flesh as they were hoping to. Only got this Beast of Nature up to 5. So, 9 to waver, 11 to kill. Wow. So that's the end of Goblin turn 5. Moving into Nature and Elves turn 5. They've not got much left though, only 3 or 4 units I think. Elf and Nature turn 5. A notable movement, we've got some charges. We've got Beast of Nature into the More Beast, we've got Beast of Nature into the Wounded Giant. Also Harambe has just taken 6 points of damage from the Druid and the Talon Riders that have backed away out of charge range of this big horrible mess over here. So 6 damage now on Harambe. So 6 to waver, 9 twice to kill. Here we go. No. The Giant has taken some more damage from this Beast of Nature. It's now up to 9, which means we're looking for 8 to waver, 10 to kill. No. The More Beasts have taken 2 damage from this Beast of Nature. So, we're looking for 10 to waver, 12 to kill. And they are wavered. So this Moorbeast unit, their morale isn't the greatest. They've failed 2 out of 3 yellow-bellied tests, and then they've become wavered immediately on 2 damage. So they're the anti-MVPs of the Goblin army, I would say. Maybe the Mincer as well has a chance at that award. Goblin turn 6, and very little movement, as you can see over there. Not much has moved, they're just quite happy to park where they are. The Trolls are chasing down the Talon Riders. They're assuming they're never going to catch them though, because they're too fast, and all my surviving fast units are over there. Down here though, we've got a double charge Giant and Harambe in the flank to try and finish off this Beast of Nature. And the Moorbeasts can't do anything because they're wavered, so just that one combat. The Giant and Harambe in the flank inflicted 6 damage each, so up to 15 now, which means double 1 town for the Beast of Nature. Here we go. No, it's dead. So, going into what could be the last turn now, for Nature and Elves. Let's see if they can kill anything else, shall we? Elves and Nature turn 6, and everything just backed away, and then unleashed at the Giant, putting him up to 11 damage. So what that means is that a roll of 6 will waver, 8 will kill. And the Giant is dead, because there's no inspiring. He can't be inspired by Harambe, as crazy as that sounds. So, he's dead. Yay! So, with that, time to see if the game ends on a 1 to 3. It's all over. The drama, the suspense. It's a 4, so we get another turn. So, I'm sure that's going to be absolutely riveting. The only action of Goblin turn 7, Harambe the Bruiser and more beasts have charged into this Beast of Nature. Managed to put some damage on it. Need 4 to kill it. Here we go. Just enough. Yay. Beast of Nature is toast. So, can the Elves and the Nature forces, who are going to survive the game, because I'm not going to catch them now, can they kill something else before the game ends? We shall see. That's some high drama there. And then work out the victory points at the end. Nature and Elves turn 7. Their only action was to unleash Lightning Bolt and Bows, everything they've got, at these Moorbeasts. Got them up to 5. So, to kill off that unit, we need 9 on the dice. Here we go. And they're dead. Hoorah! Final action of the game results in Moorbeast casualties. The balls have been blown off the table. So the Goblins have met all their objectives, getting up to 5 unit strength into the opposing half of the table, while also holding this base objective in my own half, which is the secondary objective, so 7 points. And the Elves and Nature forces got 2 for killing that Giant that was the most expensive unit at the time the secondary objective came out, but couldn't get anything for their primary objective due to not being able to carry any loot tokens into the Goblin half. So, at the end, it looks like a little bit of a massacre. This Goblin list, no shooting attacks at all, but the one plus you have there is that there's just so much meat in there. There's so many hard-hitting units, so much crushing strength, that it's not a bad list at all. I'm not sure I'd take 100% combat to a tournament, because I think sprinkling a little bit of shooting in there would make it a bit stronger. But there's just an awful lot of big, meaty, beefy units in there. And I'm not too sure how you feel about your Elf and Nature alliance. I don't think it's gone too well since you tried this experiment, has it?
No.
Right, let's get that left-handed handshake in there.